A lot of people enjoy the occasional immature, sexual, or smutty humor. It can all be in good fun. There are, however, cases where things tend to escalate beyond just a joke. And here is an example of things that got maybe a little bit too far. I'm a player at a table consisting of 5 players. 4 of the players, including myself as well as the DM, are male, and the problem player, who I'll call Jay, is the sole female. We have been playing at this table for just over a year, with most of us having met through knowing the DM first. Our campaign has always been more lighthearted in tone. We aren't afraid of immature moments, innuendos, or smutty humor at the table. There has always been an unfortunate tendency with the DM and some of the other players to flirt with Jay's character at the table, and a little out of game too. I personally find this a little bit cringe, but she seems to enjoy this, so it's not really my business, and I won't white knight needlessly. However, 3 months ago, Jay's first character was killed in combat and resisted resurrection. I have a suspicion this might have been planned with the DM, as I know she was becoming a bit bored with her PC, no harm no foul. The problem emerges when we're introduced to Jay's new character, a bard who is also a prostitute, and whose charisma roles revolve around flirtation. Not inherently a terrible idea, nor is this character, which doesn't fit the campaign. However, it quickly became clear that Jay is getting a little too into this character. If the bard is flashing some cleavage in-game, Jay will also do this herself at the table. If she's physically affectionate in-game, this happens out of game too. This was mildly immersion-breaking at first, as the blatant performance for the people around the table and subsequent thirst felt like it was distracting from the game itself. But things soon went from bad to worse when Jay began to openly lift her top and show her bra on near every persuasion check for near guaranteed advantage. I voiced my concerns here and was essentially told not to ruin a good thing. Ah yes, the good old response of man see boob, boob take over brain response. It is one of those times, isn't it? It is very bad when you tell your DM or you present a problem that makes you uncomfortable and they just reply with this. Now, we'll see how this goes, but immediately and already, the flags are very red and very bad. It has felt like every social encounter in game for the last 2 months has been steered towards getting Jay to expose herself out of game, leading up to our most recent session in which her character was railroaded into sleeping with an NPC for information and involved Jay exposing her bare chest at the table, derailing the session entirely. I'm apparently the only one who found this to be out of line. At this point, I think my time in this campaign is at an end, and I will likely bow out of the end of the current story arc. I'm certainly not a prude, nor am I judging Jay for clearly being a sexually open lady, but I feel like the core of the campaign has gone downhill in favor of the DM and the other players chasing Jay. I'm sure for some, having a topless female player at the table is a dream scenario, but I just want to play my nerdy game in peace. Please validate my opinions and tell me I'm the sane one here. TLDR, female player shows boobs at the table and derails campaign. Man is too much of a tabletop nerd to find this in any way enjoyable and just wants to smite things instead. This is straight up annoying and really disgusting at the end of the day. OP did present their problem and their issues, and basically the DM just said, don't worry about it. Which is a very bad thing for a DM to do, but also for the rest of the table to do the same. It just alienates you and makes you feel like you're the problem, where in this specific case, PC is definitely not the problem. Now, this is a very peculiar position to be in, and PC was trying to find a solution to this whole endeavor. In his post, a lot of people were telling him not to go back to the next session and to just drop out completely with no reason or explanation. PC, however, did go in for another session, and this gets us to the next part of the story, his second post. This is an update on a post of a few days ago. Essentially, a player at the table has been over-sexualizing her character to the point of exposing herself topless at the table, and the DM has encouraged and incentivized this with no regard to consent. It has totally ruined the game and made me uncomfortable, but I am the only person at the table who thinks that. To everyone who warned me to quit the campaign then and there, rather than see out the story arc with one last session, you were absolutely right to make this recommendation. Sadly, my reluctance to let go of this campaign I've invested a year of my life into, and my FOMO with the quest arc got the better of me. and I attended last night with the intention of bowing out gracefully. I had a character moment prepared that would be unintrusive and avoid potentially stroking an argument. This, as many warned me, did not go as planned. Straight off the bat, it was extremely obvious that conversations have been had between sessions, and that I was not privy to. And Jay is extremely flirty with everyone at the table from the get-go, referring to having something up her sleeve. They, in turn, could not seem to wipe the smirks of their increasingly punchable faces. Another point of note, aside from one person at the table who is a generally friendly person, they're also extremely cold with me from the moment I arrived. The DM in particular. I was under the impression that with the session starting off with combat almost immediately, I'd at least be able to play some real D&D and would be safe from whatever game the others thinks that they're playing. But no. Jay, during a battle description prompted by the DM, describes her character doing a flip, and she tells us that the party notices in this moment she's not wearing underwear. This in turn leads to a very uncomfortable moment in which the DM asks her to describe her character's genitals, and Jay gladly gives a very vivid description. There is no way this was not a pre-prepared bit, because Jay cannot improv descriptions like these. I tried to carry on and block out the cringe, but knowing that I'll be retiring from the table at the end of the session, it was hard to really give a shit. Post-combat, the party takes a long rest, and immediately my fellow party members start using their characters to quiz Jay's bard on her lack of underwear, and tell her how much they enjoyed it. I make a very clear point that my character goes to bed as he finds this phoning difficult to watch, and so do I. But they only seem to find my point amusing. They start exchanging glances and making an in-joke I clearly don't understand, like children before turning their attention back to Jay. Jay is giving them all the "did you like what you saw" speech, and I'm openly rolling my eyes at this point as they bombard Jay's bard with compliments that clearly apply to Jay herself. Jay in turn lifts her dress, and as I guessed was the case from the multitude of unsubtle hints, is not wearing anything under this dress. She proceeds to take it off completely, and whilst the rest of the table goes rapid for the display of full nudity, I instantly shut my laptop and start packing my bag, announcing I'm done and I won't be returning to the table. My paladin has died in his sleep because he has lost the will to live. A little spiteful of me, perhaps, but I had to make a point. And I'm hoping I can bring a spiritual successor to another table, as I love this sanctimonious bastard. The DM, who was the person at this table I knew pre-game, an old colleague, instantly burns his bridges with me and says, okay, fuck off then. I knew that if he was asked to choose between me and Jay, he would choose the naked woman, but the venom with which he did this tells me it wasn't a difficult choice at all, and I probably dodged a bullet. DM then tells me to go write another Reddit post about it. I did suspect there was a possibility they might find my last post, and I suspect they'll be looking for this one too. If any of them are reading, have this on me. And maybe reflect on the comments left by the countless people in the previous post if you won't listen to me. This also explains why they were assholes from the get-go this week, though I don't know why they chose not to confront me beforehand if they had an issue with my Reddit post. Either they wanted a premeditated argument, or for whatever reason they, or Jay, wanted me there for her not-so-surprise reveal. This means they were all fully aware of my discomfort this week, and proceeded regardless. Jay knew full well she was making me uncomfortable, and made the decision to expose herself even more than before, so she has completely lost the benefit of the doubt I gave her. Jay, if you're reading, you're extremely lucky this hasn't blown up in your face. I walked out of the session there and didn't look back. Judging by the very explicit photos of Jay which had appeared on our D&D Discord by the time I'd driven home, I made the right decision. It seems the game was abandoned altogether last night. Left the Discord without another word, and as it stands I have zero intentions on conversing with any of them again. Except maybe one who didn't give me the cold shoulder. I'm absolutely fuming that this campaign has gone down the pan. Our DM was extremely competent, one of the best I've had, and this has been entirely thrown away at the promise of a pretty girl dropping her knickers at the table. TLDR, I ignored Reddit's advice not to attend another session after our bard took roleplay to an explicit extreme. My paladin chooses to die in his sleep rather than watch a bunch of desperate fools experience what I can only imagine is their first naked woman. I remove myself from, presumably, some sort of orgy, on principle, because dragons and spells are cooler. This is a lot to unpack here. I don't know what is worse, the lie to straight up sexual harassment, the pettiness of it, or the general vibes that these people give off. Every one of them is horrible, excluding the PC. If they got bored with the game and just wanted to do some casual sexual RP, that is fine. All they had to do was just let PC know, because it was clear he wasn't into it. Other than ignoring his concerns, they also found the Reddit post and decided to triple down on the fact and keep pushing their kinks onto him. I have no respect for people like these, and I can't tell if the guys or Jay is worse, but they are all equally awful. They should have kept their kinks to themselves or talked it openly and tried not to make PC part of the, in quotations, joke. You can't just download overnight your not safe for work smut porn mods and throw them into the game without letting everyone know. Sure, there are people that enjoy their strip D&D and get into it and whatnot. However, you gotta make sure everyone in the table is into it as well. I find funny how pathetic the DM and the players acted and continue to encourage this behavior, and also find quite funny that PC basically played himself a sanctimonious paladin. Now, I do hope PC does find a group that is more to their speed and are respectful to each other. This was definitely a weird one, and I really hope you don't have to come across people like this, or at the very least you come across some people that don't completely disregard your opinions and boundaries. I'll see you on the next one.